Hi, my name is Rick, and I'm with NWCGE, which stands for Northwest Classic Game Enthusiasts, and I'm here to show you my game room.
So Rick, how did you get started with classic video games?
Well, I started back in 1978, actually 77, when my parents got me a Atari 2600 for Christmas.
Oh, you're one of the original owners?
Yes I am. And all my friends, they were collecting stuff, like baseball cards and stuff, and I wasn't really quite into baseball cards, so I thought, hey, this would be a great, cool thing to be able to start collecting for. And at first it was really simple because it was only coming out with a few games every now and then, and it was really easy to do it, but all of a sudden, about after a couple of years, I started getting behind really bad.
So you were one of the original owners, and you were buying the games back then full price in the regular stores to play them?
Yes, that is correct.
Wow.
As far as 2600 goes, I would say probably at least more than 50% were actually bought in the store.
Very cool.
And then besides that, I also got quite a few of them from other collectors that I started knowing in my area. And lately it's been mostly eBay for the really hard stuff that I don't have. Which I have pretty much most of everything for the Atari 2600.
So I see you have a pinball in here. A lot of classic gamers are not too big under pinballs.
That's
pinball?
Actually, before I got into video games, pinball was what I was into. I loved pinball back then. I was 14, and that was a big thing back in '77.
Okay. So what are your favorite systems? Every classic gamer.
Of course, Atari 2600. Since I collect for it. As far as playing wise, the Dreamcast is pretty good. This one is pretty high up on my list. ColecoVision, just for the graphics. I just love that system, and a lot of really cool games for it. Not that Atari 2600 doesn't have any great games. I love it just for the collecting part of it.
Okay. What's your biggest, craziest find that you ever did?
My craziest find, that would be this. My Genesis dealer display. I found it at a Goodwill here in Longview. Actually, this part was covered up with a big red sign, just blank. And I don't know how many times I went into that Goodwill store and bought some games from them. But one time I went in, and there was about a hole about that size, and I was able to see SIS, and I started looking in, like, hey, that's Genesis. So I kind of looked further and figured I'm going to have to try to make an offer for this, and it took a couple of months, but they finally sold it to me.
Okay. So that's a dealer-only item that you, as a normal collector, would never be able to get today?
Exactly.
Yeah. Any other cool finds? Any other...
As far as finds out in the wild, not really. I'm not really the thrifter back in the days. I did find a couple of release prototypes for the Atari 2600. Got them for like $1 each, but since I wasn't collecting for those for prototypes back then, I turned around and just sold them.
So what's the highlight of your collection these days?
Game-wise?
Anything.
Like video game-wise? As far as video games go, I would have to say probably one of my rarest of rares. It's called Air Raid for the Atari 2600. There's only about 4 or 5 of them to exist.
Worldwide, 4 or 5 of them?
Yeah. At least that's right now. You never know. There could be a whole stash of them pop up someday, but you never know.
So, what is a thing like this worth today?
I've seen them go for $1,500. I've seen them go for $3,000. It all depends on what's a good day and what's a bad day.
On eBay.
Yep.
So that's your box of goodies there?
Yeah. Has all the pretty rare stuff in it.
Lots of prototypes I see, or lab loaners.
Yep, Karate by Ultravision. There's only about 4 or 5 of those known to exist. A lot of lab loaners of games that never were released. Gauntlet by Answer Software is another one. There's only about 4 of those to exist.
What's that Nintendo cartridge there?
That's the Nintendo World Championship cart from 1990. There's only, I think, 126 of those made. And that was back for the championship that Nintendo did back in 1990.
Oh, so people were competing on that one, on that cartridge in particular.
That's right. The winners actually got the gold carts, but those things are going for like $10,000. And
wow.
That one goes for about $2,000.
What other cool, really unique, outstanding, weird stuff do you have?
Well, the main centerpiece of my game room are my 2 Atari 2600 pop displays that you would see in, like, if you went to a Sears or something back in the day. Like if you go to Sears, you'd have this and you'd be able to play the games. Underneath there's like a PCB board that has about 28 games that you could pick. Like let's say I want to pick 40. And you can play Pac-Man.
Yeah. So these were only for dealers back then, and that's what, when people went into the stores and looked for video games, that's what they saw, kind of like the...
And they have a whole bunch of games down here that you can actually point out and buy.
Kind of like the Xbox and PlayStation kiosks today.
Correct.
Okay, and you have not just one, but 2 of them.
That's right. This one I have connect to the PCB board so you could play the actual way it was set up in the stores. This one's actually set up to a working 2600. So if I want to try out a game or play a game, I just pop a cart in there and I'm able to play it.
Wow. So what would these go for today?
Probably between anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000.
Wow. And I see here in these shelves, you have some really special...
That's where I keep most of my rare stuff.
Really rare things.
Can-A-Man for Sears, that's an extremely hard one to find, especially boxed. That's a lot of European stuff. The bomb well, except the bomb cartridges, those are from NTSC, which is the US release. ITT Games up at the top. Some of the more extremely rare carts for the Atari 2600. Quadron, most of them are all boxed. River Patrol, another extremely rare game.
What's X-Man? Is that an adult game?
Yes, yeah. One of my favorite adult games. Yes.
Chase the Chuck Wagon, Quadron. Oh, Video Life there.
Yes.
In the box.
Yes, that's probably one of the most holy grails for the Atari 2600.
On eBay, how much would that go for?
At least $5,000.
Wow. Okay. So, what is your favorite game that you would play today if you know...
For the Atari 2600?
Anything, really.
For anything, boy, as far as 2600, I'd probably be more like Pitfall. I like platformers.
Yep.
Those are one of my favorites. For modern systems, I do play a lot of my Wii, and I play Super Paper Mario right now. It's a really fun game.
Okay, so what do you think in the future is going to be the kind of the collectible system here? What the Atari 2600 is today?
It's kind of weird. It all depends on how they go. Where gamers don't buy actual products anymore. It'll be more or less if you go into a store and you just download something from now on.
Mm-hmm.
That would be kind of a shame. I'm always been the type that always likes to have something in your hand when you buy it.
Yeah. Okay. Anything in the end that you want to talk about, or?
Let me see. Well, I do happen to have a few things here that are rare.
Oh, this is your Nintendo and
Yes, this is for the
closet.
Nintendo. The Super Famicom is the second level. Have some Genesis and TurboGrafx. Atari 2600, 7800, and 5200. But some of the rare stuff I do have is for the Nintendo. First one's called Hot Slots. It's an adult video game for the Nintendo system. Pretty rare. Not too many people have these, especially boxed. The second one is called Bubble Bath Babes.
Sounds adult as well.
Yes.
And that's for the NES? Or?
And that's for the NES, correct. And the last of the third is called Peekaboo Poker.
Oh, it's kind of a strip poker for the NES.
Correct.
Oh.
That's about it that I have as far as rarities for the NES. I'm not a huge NES collector, but I do have a few games for it.
Okay.
Put those back.
Thanks, Rick. Awesome game room.
Oh,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you. Yeah. It's a place I go to kind of get away from life for a while.
Very cool.